Well, good Thursday morning to you, and thanks for joining us here on KARE 11 News Now. I'm Alicia Lewis. Let's get to your headlines today. Well, today is a weather impact alert day with storms on their way to the metro. Some of them already turning severe. So some of you could be seeing some rain this morning, but the big story is this afternoon where some of the storms could turn severe. We're going to check in with meteorologist John Ziegler in just a little bit. He'll have your full forecasts. Well, the rain and cooler temperatures on the way are welcoming by crews battling massive wildfires in northern Minnesota. The St. Louis County Sheriff tells us that the fires yesterday did not grow much in size like they did earlier in the week. Still good news there, but still the Camp House fire, the Jenkins Creek fire, and the Munger Shaw fire have now burned a combined 35,000 acres. Our Michelle Beck has the very latest.
Well, hey, let's talk about the resources in this massive firefighting operation. You can tell from this footage posted by the sheriff's office, choppers have been busy dropping water wherever they can. We know at least some of these helicopters are from the Minnesota National Guard. According to yesterday's report by the incident commander, the Camp House fire appears to be getting the most resources. Now about 15,000 acres in size, that fire in Brimson is getting help from 32 fire engines, 13 tenders to transport water, and 6 dozers to create barriers for fire control. Heading into today, the sheriff said officials will be closely watching the Jenkins Creek fire due to concerns over weather and in particular wind. This fire has surpassed 20,000 acres, making it the biggest of the 3 fires in the area.
It's God's will. If it's going to spread and come this way, then it's coming this way. Keep all these people that are in the path in their prayers, and hopefully it all goes okay.
This is affecting a lot of people. The sheriff's office says there is now a public hotline for questions about the Camp House or Jenkins Creek fires. Back to you.
Well, new this morning, the nation's largest retailer says you can expect to see higher prices in just a few weeks. Walmart is warning it's not immune from President Donald Trump's tariffs, and it does plan to raise prices on some of their items. Walmart's CEO says the scope of the tariffs won't allow the company to absorb all of the effects. In the same earnings call this morning, the CEO also says the Walmart will do its best to keep prices as low as possible. Right now, every product entering the U.S. is subject to a 10% tariff. Most items from China face a 30% levy. Meantime, President Trump is in the United Arab Emirates this morning for the final stop of his Middle East trip. Trump signing deals in Qatar that included the sale of Boeing jets from the U.S. The president also trying to influence other parts of the region and some foreign conflicts. Alice Barr has the latest details from Washington.
Hi there. We're following a lot of developments. President Trump said this morning he thinks the U.S. is close to doing a nuclear deal with Iran, while U.S. officials join negotiations beginning in Turkey today, trying to bring an end to Russia's war on Ukraine. President Trump visiting troops in Qatar at the largest U.S. military base in the Middle East.
America's military will soon be bigger, better, stronger, and more powerful than ever before.
It follows a meeting with business leaders earlier this morning.
I can tell you that our country is hot. It's hot as a pistol.
On Wednesday, a deal announced for Qatar to buy up to 210 Boeing jets from the U.S., a new record and part of what the White House says is a broader $243 billion in new Qatari investment in the U.S.
We have the best equipment anywhere in the world. You're buying a lot of that equipment, actually.
That as Qatar's prime minister dismissed the controversy over President Trump's plan to accept a gifted luxury jet to be used as Air Force One.
This is a very simple government-to-government dealing.
The plane expected to transfer to the Trump Presidential Library at the end of his term. Lawmakers in both parties raising serious concerns about accepting a $400 million foreign gift.
I can think of a lot of other things Qatar could do for us, like, for example, quit harboring Islamic jihadist terrorists who are trying to kill Americans.
Next up, President Trump arriving in the United Arab Emirates, the final leg of his Middle Eastern trip. That's included efforts to push Iran toward a nuclear deal. A top advisor to Iran's supreme leader telling NBC's Richard Engel Iran is willing to commit to never having a nuclear weapon in order to lift crippling sanctions.
Yes, we are ready.
All as some of President Trump's top aides traveled to Turkey for direct peace talks between Moscow and Kyiv, aimed at ending Russia's war on Ukraine. There had been hopes that Russia and Ukraine's presidents, along with President Trump, would all join the talks in Turkey, but those appear dashed by Russia sending a lower-level delegation than anticipated. In Washington, I'm Alice Barr. Back to you.
Well, you could hear the howls all across Minnesota last night. The T-Wolves are heading back to the Western Conference Finals after a huge win at home against the Warriors. It's the first time they clinched the series on a home court in 20 years. Audrey Russo is joining us with a reaction from the Wolfpack.
The Timberwolves fans got a much-needed infusion of confidence. In fact, they were barely outside of the Target Center doors when they already set their sights on winning the Western Conference Finals.
Man, I love doing this after the game.
When you're pedaling home the winners.
When we win, they're always in a good mood when they win, yes.
You know they're going to do some pedaling of their own.
We're going to win the NBA championship in 6 games.
That's your official prediction?
That's my official prediction.
At the watch party across the street, Timberwolves fans threw down predictions.
Absolutely, we can do it.
Before picking up their tabs.
It was so much fun. I just love the Wolves.
We beat Denver already. OKC is a different type of team, but we're ready for them too.
But with the Western Conference Finals just around the corner,
we're ready for the next round. We're going all the way.
Why pump the brakes?
Definitely. We're going to have a couple more home games, and I'm looking forward to it. There'll be a lot of more rides coming, very, very good energy too.
Now let's see how strong those powers of prediction are. The Denver Nuggets and the Oklahoma City Thunder face off tonight. The Thunder is leading their series 3-2, so if they win, it's going to be OKC versus the Timberwolves for the Western Conference Finals. Back to you.
And that game is at 7:30 tonight. Should be exciting for that one. Well, hey, let's talk about the Vikings. Fans, get excited. We now know the team schedule for the 2025 season, and it's a big one with several games in the national spotlight. Here's Julia Daniels with a closer look.
I'm Julia Daniels. The Vikings schedule dropped, and they are squarely in the spotlight. Their schedule features 7 nationally televised games, including 5 primetime games. The season opener in Chicago on Monday Night Football, home opener against the Falcons on Sunday Night Football, and they host the Lions for a big Christmas Day matchup. As for the late season outdoor elements, the Vikings travel to Lambeau in Week 12, followed by Seattle the next week and MetLife Stadium on December 21st. They end the season with a home game against the Packers.
And it's a good day to be a Minnesota sports fan. More big sports news. The Frosts are heading back to the Walter Cup finals to defend their title after defeating Toronto in the semifinals. In the third period, the Frosts trailed actually by 1 with a little over 11 minutes left in regulation when captain Kendall Coyne Schofield tied things up, assisted by Sophie Jakes there. Game going into overtime with Taylor Heisey scoring the game winner. Very exciting. The Frosts, of course, are the defending Walter Cup champs, and they want to keep that here at home. Well, we're learning this morning that parking on some streets in Falcon Heights during the state fair is no longer going to be free. The city council unanimously approved a new contract with Park Mobile, a parking management company, to begin charging $25 a day for parking on certain streets. The city is estimating that the plan would bring in at least $100,000 to $200,000 in revenue to help with the extra costs for resources associated with the fair. And as part of the plan, each impacted household will get 1 free parking pass. Households can apply for up to 4 passes if they meet criteria for a hardship waiver.
Everyone in my household is pretty upset about the whole thing. First off, it kind of feels like a way for an outside company to make money off of publicly available works.
It's just a start. It's something to attempt. If it doesn't work, we don't have to repeat it next year.
Yeah, with the fair less than 100 days away, this is going to be interesting as we get closer. The contract is set for 1 year, but includes an automatic renewal for up to 2 more years unless the city chooses to cancel it or renegotiate. Heads up if there's a Ford SUV in your driveway or your garage. The company's recalling 273,000 vehicles over an issue with leaking brake lines. Ford says the leak could lead to longer braking times and potentially crashes. Impacted vehicles are Ford Expeditions from 2022 to 2024 and Lincoln Navigators from those same years. Ford will get in contact with you if your car is impacted. So far, there's no reports of any crashes because of these brake line issues. Well, hey, stick around. More news and that weather impact alert all coming up after the break.